Dear colleagues, dear friends, today we celebrate the great date of the 80th anniversary of the glorious victory of the Soviet people in the Great Patriotic War. Today, we, as employees of the ministry, with the participation of our veterans, with the participation of the youth, must also take an oath to always be faithful to the victories, the feats, the heroism that ensured the life of our state, our motherland, the Soviet Union, which ensured the future and future generations. In those years, many employees of the People's Commissariat of Foreign Affairs, employees, colleagues, outsiders, went to the front with the Red Army soldiers, with the militiamen, defended our capital, our motherland, and made their contribution to this great victory. At the same time, the diplomats who remained at work in the People's Commissariat, together with their colleagues, were providing diplomatic and foreign policy accompaniment to the heroic struggle of the Soviet people for the salvation of Europe from Nazism. They did everything to get and use the information that was intended to strengthen the unity of the anti-Hitler coalition, not to allow the fascists to make separate deals. As you know, there were such attempts. And in general, during the entire war, the diplomats did everything necessary to prevent treason at their posts. And as you know, now these documents are classified, they are being published. We found out quite early on the preparation, first of all, with the participation of the British, of the unthinkable operation, which was really unthinkable, because it was supposed to attack the Soviet Union with the aim of, as it sounds now familiar, with the aim of inflicting a strategic defeat on the Soviet Union. And today that experience, of course, is priceless for us. The experience of establishing a coalition, but exclusively based on one's own interests, without naivety, without excessive trust in empty promises. President Putin spoke in great detail about this very recently in one of his interviews. Now, against us too, they have united under the banner of Nazism, and literally, in the sense of the word, supporting the openly Russian, anti-Russian regime of Zelensky, which is carrying out torch-bearing marches, which is throwing fighters with chevrons of Nazi divisions on their sleeves into the slaughterhouse. And just as in the framework of the unthinkable operation, we are being declared a threat of a strategic defeat on the battlefield. It is very important not only to preserve the memory of the heroes of the Great Patriotic War, the Second World War, who provided us with the future and the current development, and I am sure the development for many decades and centuries to come, but also to remember the diplomatic experience, the diplomatic lessons of those events. These lessons are priceless, including and especially in the current situation when war is being waged against us. Again, almost all of Europe is armed and, as I have already said, under Nazi banners. And these days, for the first time in our country, 80 eternal fires are being lit. There is a tradition of taking a particle of eternal fire to the Alexander Garden. and transferring it to someone's small homeland. But quite recently, such an action was carried out by the inhabitants of Lugansk and a number of other cities. And it is symbolic that this is happening soon after Easter, when the same particle of fire, the fire of grace from Jerusalem, is being spread all over the world, and this bright Sunday is being celebrated. Victory for us is also a Sunday of all our people, our history, our traditions, our pride. And we are obliged to pass these feelings on to our children, grandchildren, as well as to us. These feelings were passed on to our mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers. I want to congratulate everyone on the upcoming holiday of the Great Victory, the staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our representatives in the Russian Federation, in the embassies and consulates. Special congratulations to our veterans who, as always, are on duty, who symbolize the connection of generations that allowed us to survive and emerge strengthened from the most diverse situations, including those related to wars and diplomatic battles. Everything is still ahead. No one promised that all problems could be solved in one sitting. Life requires constant efforts. And I really hope that our team, which has proven its capabilities more than once in the most difficult situations, will continue to carry out the foreign policy determined by President Putin, which is aimed at ensuring the legal and vital interests of the Russian Federation in the international arena, leaving the door open for honest and mutually beneficial cooperation with everyone who is ready to work on such an equal and mutually beneficial basis. Happy holiday once again.
на такой равноправной, взаимовыгодной основе. С праздником еще раз.